This homeless man is just sitting quietly on the train. Peace is soon disturbed when a group of young thugs enters the wagon. The thugs bump into two other passengers, making it clear that they are looking for trouble. One of the other passengers shows them a gun, but the leader of the thugs, Anton, is not scared of it. Anton and his group manage to scare the other guys, who plainly walk away. After telling his friends that they are going to move some weapons this week, Anton sees the homeless man and thinks that this is a good time to make some new friends. The young troublemaker tries to steal the man's alcohol, but the man grabs his hand and holds tight to it. This man is not just any homeless man. In fact, his name is John Reese, a special agent who has seen quite some action in the past. Anton tries to pull his hand away, but John holds it firmly. Then he decides to release it, but Anton is still not happy. He teases John, saying that he has not brought enough alcohol for the whole group.
You bring enough for the whole group?
These young guys have no idea who they are messing with, so that's probably why they try to corner John. John acts fast and takes care of them, breaking their hands, kneeing their sensitive areas, and hitting their throats just enough to make them gasp for air. The five of them were taken to the police station. Officer Carter takes a look at the video footage and then enters the room where John is being kept. Carter jokes with him, saying that he should have done her a favor and landed some more punches on those punks. Carter tries to make small talk, but John remains silent. Carter comes up with an idea to find out who he is. She offers John some water and replaces his previous plastic cup with a new one. She is very careful to carry the cup while touching it on the inside instead of grabbing it like a normal human being would. Carter excuses herself and gives the cup to her guy in forensics. The forensics guy scans the cup for fingerprints and then compares them against the police database. They find out John's real name and that he has been involved in multiple crime scenes. In addition, there are 4 active arrest warrants for him in 4 different countries. He is definitely a man with a long story. Even though Carter would love to know more, John is soon released by a mysterious lawyer. The lawyer takes him to his employer, Harold Finch, who wants to have a talk with Reese. As it appears, Harold is a rich man with lots of access to information. He seems to know everything about John's past. He also knows that John is trying to drink himself to death, so he proclaims that he is what John needs, which is a purpose and a job. Finch takes him to the center of New York City to tell him that somebody dies every few hours in New York. Finch claims that he has a list of people who are about to be involved in crimes. He points John to a woman named Hanson and tells him that something is going to happen involving her. The problem with Harold's list is that he can't know if the name on the list is going to be the victim or the perpetrator. Therefore, he wants John to follow this woman, find out what is going to happen, and save the victim involved. On the other hand, John believes that Harold is just a rich man who is stalking his ex-girlfriend, so he plainly walks away. Harold's men try to stop him, but John handles them in a matter of seconds. Later, Reese spends some time in a hotel shaving in order to change his appearance. That night, Finch sets him up by playing a recording of a murder that took place years ago right inside the next-door hotel room where John is spending the night. Finch jokes by saying that John is too late, adding that he was also late for his friend Jessica. This reveals that Reese had a girlfriend he loved and lost. Although John is angry at Finch,
What the hell do you know about it? It's the truth.
he is convinced to work with him because they could potentially save some people by sticking together. Harold takes him to a place he uses as a center of operations, and John realizes that Harold's list does not include names, but rather the social security numbers of the people potentially involved in crimes. John gets to work and narrows down Hanson's enemies to 2 people. One of them could be a lawyer named Wheeler,
First is Wheeler, her co-counselor.
who used to date Hanson, but she broke up with him. The other one could be a gangster named Pope, who was sent to jail by Hanson. As John continues following her, he attends Pope's trial, where Detective Fusco is giving his statement. After the trial, Hanson scolds Fusco because he got off script without her knowing. Later, Hanson visits Pope in prison to tell him that she believes he is not the one guilty of the crime attributed to him. John hears on the microphone installed in her phone that Pope has a younger brother named Michael, whom he is trying to protect. It is implied that Pope is lying about the murder he supposedly committed to protect his brother from the real murderers, because Michael witnessed them committing the killing. The next day, Wheeler enters Hanson's office to learn more about Michael by searching her computer. John suspects that Wheeler is involved somehow. That night, the bad guys get to Michael first, but John intervenes and shoots their truck with a grenade launcher. Reese saves Michael and also steals some badges from these bad guys, revealing that they are dirty cops. John starts watching over them and finds out that they are working with Fusco. The dirty cops kill people to keep their mouths shut, while Fusco sets up innocent people to go to jail. Now John wants to know more about Harold's list, and Harold reveals that after the attack of September 11th, the government hired him to build a machine that combines information on people, receiving that information from all the cameras and microphones in the country. The machine produces 2 kinds of lists. One one focused on possible terrorist attacks and one focused on other kinds of crimes. Harold has built a back door to receive this second list, but all they get is the social security numbers, so they have to do some work to find out what is going to happen. John continues his work while he believes that Hansen is in danger, but it appears Hansen is working with the dirty cops, who also killed Pope last night in his cell. Hansen tells the dirty cops to kill Wheeler because he is digging too much.
The problem is Wheeler.
While Fusco appears behind John and points a gun at him, John escapes Fusco's custody as he is taking him to the desert in order to kill him and returns to New York. The dirty cops are about to kill Wheeler while they frame a thug for it, but John arrives just in time to stop them. Then, he takes care of Hansen by mixing up some recordings. Finally, he blackmails Fusco to work for him because he is going to need someone from the inside. A few days later, John enters an elevator and starts speaking with a guy named Bill. He asks Bill if the flowers he's holding are for his wife, but John already knows the answer. John hints that some women leave their partners after discovering infidelity, while others hire people to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. With that, John takes down two men following Bill and tells him to call a good divorce lawyer. The next day, the machine gives Finch and John a new number. This time, it belongs to a girl named Teresa. However, her case is special. Harold takes John to a cemetery, revealing that Teresa is supposed to be dead. Her father was a real estate developer who went bankrupt when the market crashed. This drove him mad, leading him to murder his family on a weekend trip before killing himself. But if Teresa's number appeared, it means she is still alive. John visits Fusco and requests access to Teresa's case file. Fusco, having no choice, after reviewing the file, John concludes that this was a professional hit. The supposed family murder was staged to look like the father did it, but John sees through the facade. Finch uses his technology to track Teresa down, and John follows her. Teresa realizes she's being pursued and evades John before he can catch her. John visits Harold in an office where he works, realizing that Harold owns the company and uses it to hide in plain sight. John also recovers a device from Teresa, one that skims credit card information from ATMs. Apparently, Teresa has been living off stolen funds by withdrawing money using this device. John tracks down the hitman who was hired to kill Teresa's family, a man named Solnick, who is now in prison. Solnick admits that while he was hired to kill the family, he spared Teresa because he follows a code. He would never kill a child. Solnick warns Teresa to remain silent about him, or he'd come back to finish the job. John asks who hired him, but Solnick reveals that they only met once and the payment was in cash, leaving no trail. Teresa eventually tries to sell banking information online, and Finch tracks her down again. John reaches her, but they're intercepted by an assassin hunting Teresa. John manages to save her and takes her to a safe place. Teresa then reveals that her father blamed her uncle Derek for his financial ruin. John learns that Derek worked with two big contractors to murder Teresa's father, because his land had increased in value significantly, and Derek stood to inherit it if Teresa was presumed dead. John tracks down one of the contractors and uses a truck to ram into his car, forcing him to call off the hit on Teresa, but it's already too late. The assassin has already been dispatched. At the hotel where Teresa is hiding, the assassin finds her, but John arrives just in time to kill him. The next day, John contacts Officer Carter and tells her it's time for them to meet. However, when Carter arrives with her team, all they find is Teresa, who is reunited with her aunt. Teresa claims she cannot remember the man who saved her due to trauma. Later, John meets Harold at his office again, but Harold has already moved to another location, keeping his personal life private. Harold reminds John that he's a private person and will only contact John when they need to talk. Shortly after, the machine provides another number, indicating another mission. This time, the number belongs to a man named Joey, a former soldier who now works as a hotel groom. John begins tailing Joey, and discovers that Joey is involved in armed bank robberies alongside a group of fellow former soldiers.
Look fabulous, Mrs. J.
Finch suggests turning Joey into the police, but John wants to understand how such a good soldier could have ended up committing crimes. After some investigation, John finds out that Joey is part of a network of ex-soldiers carrying out these robberies to make ends meet. Joey has taken it upon himself to support his friend's wife and daughter while trying to gather enough money to provide for them. John infiltrates Joey's gang by getting their driver arrested and takes his place in the crew. During one of their heists, they rob an underground gambling site run by the mafia. Despite John's intervention, Joey and his gang continue planning more dangerous jobs. John learns that Joey is trying to support his fallen friend's family, but the situation takes a turn when Sam, their leader, betrays the group. Sam kills the other members of the crew, but John manages to save Joey, advising him to leave town and start a new life. After dealing with Joey, John shifts his attention to another target doctor, Tillman, a lonely doctor who works tirelessly and seems all business. However, John notices that she frequents a nightclub every night. There, John spots Andrew, a suspicious man who had previously bumped into Tillman. John investigates Andrew and learns that he is a predator, targeting vulnerable women. He also discovers that Andrew has a criminal record for sexually assaulting a young woman during college, but the charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. It turns out that the young woman was Dr. Tillman's sister, and she later died from an overdose. Tillman is not just a victim, she's planning to exact revenge on Andrew. She even purchases enough chemicals to dissolve his body. John realizes that Tillman intends to kill Andrew, and the machine gave them her number because she's about to commit a crime. John intercepts Tillman as she's about to execute her plan. He convinces her that killing Andrew will destroy the good in her and that she isn't a murderer. Tillman relents, but John decides Andrew's fate is still undecided. He kidnaps Andrew and takes him to a remote location. There, John debates whether people can change or if Andrew deserves to die. In the end, the scene cuts to black, leaving Andrew's fate unclear. In the next case, Finch's machine provides the number of Samuel Gates, a Supreme Court judge known for his fairness. John tracks Gates and quickly realizes that the judge isn't the target. His son is. Kidnappers take the boy and demand that the judge manipulate a case in their favor. John intervenes, tracing the kidnappers and eventually recovering the boy. However, the case reveals a larger crime involving an Eastern European gang, and John works to bring them down while keeping Gates and his son safe. In a later case, John's investigation leads him to Zoe Morgan, a professional fixer who does favors for high-profile clients in exchange for money. When Zoe gets involved with a corrupt pharmaceutical heir named Mark Lawson, John steps in to protect her. Mark tries to kill Zoe to cover up a massive scandal involving his company's drug, which has caused numerous deaths. John and Zoe team up to expose the truth, bringing down Mark and the pharmaceutical company in the process. Despite John's warning for Zoe to stay out of trouble, she replies that it's not an option for her, indicating that her dangerous lifestyle will continue.